PT requirement. Okay. About the induction of 17043, this ISO IC 17043 is a sets the framework for how you design, operate, and evaluate proficiency testing schemes with competence and impartiality. The intent of this whole this training is to help you to understand how these requirements apply in practice, so that your PT activities consistently meet accreditation and assessors' expectations. Here, as it's mentioned, that this standard is applicable to laboratories, testing laboratories, all testing labs can apply, calibration laboratories, inspection bodies. So all three type of these activities or the divisions can apply for ISO 17043 as a PT. Further, it ensures like competency of the PT providers, reliable and valid PT results, and confidence in the laboratory performance during the evaluation. There are some key clauses in the 17043, which is more or less similar to the ISO 17025 or 9001. The clauses are like it's starting with the clause 1, 2, 3, which is the basic information, normative information, and references of this international standard from where they build up. But actual clauses start with the clause 4, which is a general requirement for a PTP, which consists of the confidentiality, impartiality clauses, same as in the 17025. Other one is structure and resource requirements, 6 related to the resource requirement, and 7 is a process requirement, and 8 is a management requirement. There are some annexes also they have given for the statistical method to adopt while calculating this statistical approach or this calculating Z score or Z prime. The key objectives of this standard are to ensure technical competency of the proficiency testing providers, also to establish consistent PT schemes and design for a different metrics, promote confidence within the lab and to the industry on the testing results from the labs. Also support to ISO IC 17025, which is a compliance requirement as per the ILAC MRA or the accreditation bodies worldwide. Further, it's enable comparability and traceability of the results. Yeah, Manish. On this slide, actually, here, I'll try to brief a little bit more apart from this particular slide. Here, our purpose is to understand the homogeneity testing and the stability testing, the concept, how it works in these PT schemes. For in case of homogeneity, actually, the requirement is before distributing any PT items, we must demonstrate homogeneity to ensure that all test items or PT items are sufficiently uniform. In case of testing, we are generally saying is as a PT items. In case of a calibration, we are saying is as a PT artifact. So the meaning is both. In any case, we will not saying like it's a PT test sample or sample kind of. So technically, these terms are not correct. So as per the standard, we have to call it as a PT item only. Further, this confirms that any differences in participants' results are due to laboratory performance and not to the sample variation. This is the main purpose of the homogeneity testing. And for homogeneity testing is therefore mandatory and is performed through random selection of test units So testing under repeatability conditions, typically using a minimum of 10 samples, which as per ISO 13528, which we are seeing as a G greater than 10. It is mentioned in the 13528 that it should be the G stand for a number of PT items for a repeatability. And yeah, there is other options like they have there is a provision for a destructive items. For destructive items, as per 13528, it could be 4 or greater than 4 to 6 also, because it is not required on the repetition like we are doing for the non-destructive items. So this definition is also available in 13528, which is the prominent standard for the calculation of statistics data we received from the participants. So which is followed by the statistical evaluation of between unit variations. So here, the requirement for homogeneity checking is to ensure that the performance of PT items are satisfactory before conducting a PT scheme or round. So this is demonstrated like through a statistical approach where the standard deviation between samples, we are generally, as per that 13528, we are calling it as a SS. So this should be must be or means less than or equal to the standard deviation of the proficiency assessment, means SDPA. Now that SDPA is typically defined from algorithm A initially. But the thing is, whatever the terms I am saying, see, I know that it is very difficult to understand through again this theoretical session, because it is required a practical hands-off experience to understand all these terms, which is mentioned in ISO 13528. By the way, I'm trying to justify and try to simplify as possible from my side. In other way, you can I can tell you, like, suppose if homogeneity fail for any reason initially, before to conduct any PT program, your homogeneity must be satisfactorily passed. It should be compliant. If there is any due to any reason, if suppose homogeneity fails, that in that case, the PT provider must compensate by applying a relaxation to the participants' labs through a inclusion of a heterogeneity component. Now, what is heterogeneity? Actually, the heterogeneity in such cases, like where participant performance is evaluated using an adjustment like a standard deviation calculation, and then in that case we have to add that at the end of that, once we know that the homogeneity is not satisfactory, we have to add some relaxation, which could be the square root of a SDPA plus the standard uncertainty. So this kind of relaxation we need to add at the end of the program, so that participant should not be fail due to the inhomogeneous material. So the criteria is homogeneity must be performed before to run the program, except there's some exceptionals also, but at least means we have to ensure homogeneity must be performed before to run any of the PT scheme or round. Second, if homogeneity fails in any case, we have to add some relaxation, which we call it as a heterogeneity at the end of the this stats calculation before to calculate the Z score or Z prime. Now, for Z score, generally as per the international standards, there are many standards out there for the Z score and all. Actually, for that, we can also refer to ISO 13528. There are guidelines for IUPAC also, where the Z score or Z prime can be calculated. Even for the calibration, it could be a EN value. For Z score or Z prime, the criteria is generally if the labs are 18 and 18 plus, we'll go for a Z score. And for that, I'll discuss, I'll explain to you further in the next slide, where you need to, how to go for that. And for Z prime, suppose if you have a number of labs less than 18, so by default, it should be a Z prime category. Under the Z prime, it means because the weightage of the participation is less in the PT scheme. So in that case, we have to give some relaxation. Again, the heterogeneity will be applied so that the impact should not go, because the weightage is less, because the number of participants are less, that this should not impact the performance of the individual labs. So that is why this is very much required, that we must be aware about how to calculate uh, this condition, that whether your participation falls under Z scope or Z prime. And there are other conditions. Suppose if homogeneity fails in case of you have laboratories in participation for any of the PT scheme. Suppose it's more than 18 labs. In this case, suppose labs are 18 or 18 plus, but homogeneity fails in at initial stage. In that case also, heterogeneity will be applied, and you need to calculate the new algorithm also. So stats is working like that as per the 13528. In addition to this assigned value, further means suppose our homogeneity is okay, and the next step, I'm now a little bit sharing with you this requirement of a assigned value as well. So if your homogeneity is okay, you receive the result from the participants, and then you have to apply one of the approach from the stats, which could be algorithm A as per the 13528 international standard. And there are other things like to identify the outlier or blunder by using the Grubbs method. There's other approach like robust standard deviation in case of you have a less number of participants. Suppose if you have participants for the PT scheme less than 12, you can apply for robust standard deviations to calculate the Z prime. Or you can also go for a MPE method, maximum permissible error. So, which is based on that percentage of uh, of error which we generally expect in our testing results. So that percentage can be defined to identify the SDPA, standard deviation performance analysis, within that participant results. So in case of even after that, the most critical part is your assigned value must be satisfactory, means must be compliant, and for that there are two different conditions are applied to verify the statistical calculation. The first condition is like you have to verify whether your assigned value is satisfactory. For that, you need to compare your assigned value against the independent reference value. If this comparison is not acceptable, the PT scheme becomes invalid and the report cannot be released. So this is critically important, that at the end of the PT scheme, at the time of finalization of your statistical calculation, you have to ensure by using the this comparison method, where you have to verify your assigned value with compared to the independent reference value, should be satisfactory. If it is fail, PT will be invalid. There will be no PT report, and you have to go to the again. You have to start the fresh PT. Uh, again for that particular round. While you need to select another material, it also shows that because the this generally it's happened because if there is an n number of failure, means suppose if you have 100 participant and 60 comes are 60 or 60 plus fail, or this is just a hypothetical figure, but yeah, if the failure is more compared to the your homogeneity performance, and also your this condition one also declared that it is failed, so it means your complete PT is failed and you cannot proceed further for that. So this is highly important that this stage should be clear by following the condition one. And in that, there are multiple contributors, including the assigned value, homogeneity, and homogeneity from the testing laboratory where you have performed the homogeneity testing. So all these factors need to contribute a little bit in this part of condition one. The condition two, where in the condition two, generally this gives you a condition where whether the Z score you have to apply for the calculation or a Z prime. So these two conditions are very much important while applying the, while going for a calculation of a assigned value or the validation of the assigned value before to finalization of your Z score or Z prime. Okay, next one. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I already explained all such things. However, I wish to continue with the PPT also. Can you move to the earlier slide? Yeah. So here, as per the slide, if you'll see here the understanding and homogeneity, it is mentioned like the PT items are sufficiently uniform. This is the one thing. Other, we have to ensure the differences in the results are due to laboratory performance, not due to sample variation. This is in very simple terms we can understand. This is the main objective of the homogeneity performance. And mandatory, it is mandatory before PT item distribution. This is what I explained just before. As a homogeneity process, we have to select the test units on a random basis. And after that, the testing under repetition conditions we need to perform. And also the minimum 10 unit, 10 unit stands for a G is equal to or greater than 10, which is as per the 13528 standard. It could be less than 10 also, depending on the nature of the material. If it is a destructive material, it could be 4 or 4 plus, depending on again that the size and volume of your PT program. The last one, it's mentioned like a statistical evaluation between units. As I explained that SS value within the sample, error between sample error, this need to be calculated while doing this homogeneity. And homogeneity should be passed. This is the ideal situation. If fails, then also you can continue, but you have to provide some relaxation. Other part is related to the understanding on the stability testing. Now, stability testing we need to perform after the completion of round. You cannot perform in between the your PT scheme. Once you received all the results from the participants, you have to generally at the end date, means suppose you have set the 10th of January is the last date to receive the results from the participants. Then after that or from that date, you can start the stability testing. In the same way, like you have performed the homogeneity, similarly you have to perform the stability. But stability generally perform on the two only just two different samples. Again, randomly you can select two of the samples and send to the same laboratory, and you can ask for the results. And once you receive the result, you have to calculate whether it is aligned with the results received from the participants and with the homogeneity criteria which you have set before to conduct this PEEP scheme. And further, why it is important, like the key points are conducted at different intervals. So stability in case of calibration, there are different guidelines where you need to calculate the time value, time wise that differences the performance of the artifact. In case of a testing, the stability, means it could be uh, covering by transportation also, and there could be two to three time also you can conduct depending on the nature of the material. Especially in case of a chemical, suppose any material having some versatile kind of nature. Let me tell you, like in case of azo or lead or some restricted chemicals we are using in other testing where we have some humidity impact like a paper. So in such cases, that stability is very much required. Otherwise, in generally on mechanical parameter, uh, it is not that much important. It's depending on again the nature of the material you selected for the PT scheme. And finally, the results should be compared at the end. At the end, you need to compare the result against the acceptance criteria, which could be the homogeneity and the combination of the assigned value. Yep. So thanks. Further, we can move to the next slide. Yes. Here I have included some of the terms from the SOPs which we have for this homogeneity and stability. Here, as per this our SOPs, like which we have developed as per ISO 13528. So there are some inputs like conduct the assessment of both homogeneity and stability where applicable of the PT items used with organizing both qualitative and quantitative PT schemes. Means qualitative and quantitative, where quantitative where we are getting the results in numeric value. Second, the conduct the assessment of homogeneity normally prior to the distribution of the PT items and among the participants, and after the PT items are packed and unique item these numbers are given. So we have to randomly select, as we discussed earlier. We need to randomly select the material, and due to the practical, technical, and logistic reasons, homogeneity assessment can be conducted after the distribution of the PT items. Also provides stability of the PT items during the duration of the PT scheme is ensured. This is the requirement, and again, as I said, it is depending on that your PT scheme and the material. You have a flexibility, but ideally the homogeneity should be performed before to start the before to dispatch the material to the participants. Further, the complete preparation and packaging of the PT items are important, and you have to select at least 10. We have already discussed the G greater than or equal to 10. Reduce the number of PT items if suitable data is available. Suppose if you have already performed the test on previous round not so previously, you have a same material and you have a pre information like a pre data with you, and all procedure everything is same, then in that case you can reduce that quantity of the PT items for a homogeneity purpose. It can be reduced to 10%. Like as mentioned, 3 PT items is sufficient for homogeneity purpose. But depending on, again, it is not like that last round you have performed on the same PT item with the and again you are performing on the same PT item for the next PT scheme. So there should be a sufficient different sufficient time interval between these two PT scheme. And based on the previous data, which could be a 2 year back, you have the homogeneity report, you have a data, and further it could be a similar kind of a stability performance before to run any PT, new PT scheme. So prepare two test portion in case of a textile material. Now, in case of textile material, we have to cut the portion within that, between from the center of that textile material, and can be categorized like a 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. So 5 pieces of the items are sufficient, which could, in other words, it could be a 2 into 1 in 2 into 5 as a duplicate, or 5 into 2 as a duplicate, or as a duplicate 5 PT item is sufficient for the purpose of textile PT schemes. Other cases, it can be like, as I mentioned, like in case of a destructive test, no need to test the sample in duplicate, and as specified clause 4 above. Clause 4 stands for, means there is, I think, details is not mentioned here. The conduct the test one accredited laboratory under repeatability conditions on the sensitive and inhomogeneity and instability material verifications. Yes, Manish. Hello, Manish.
Yes, sir. I changed the slide.
Okay. Uh, Further here, I have mentioned some of the terms like SS. We just before discussed, like SS is stands for a between the sample standard deviation. So with the standard deviation of PT assessments like SDPA, the standard deviation need to be identified for a compliance with the following criteria. Here, as I said, that SDPA should be less than or equal to 0.3 of a SPT. Further, as I also refer here the ISO 13528. If suppose your this SPT is to be determined from participants' results, accept the risk of distributing PT items that are not sufficiently homogeneous, and check the criteria after the consensus PT, uh, consensus SDPA has been calculated. So, in case of non-compliance or heterogeneity of the PT items, should be considered for evaluating the performance of participants. For the purpose, include the between sample standard deviation, SS in the standard deviation for proficiency, SGPA. You need to calculate while using these terms. So here, like we have given the example also, where you can see that news PT is equal to square root of alls PT 2 square plus SS power 2, which is for the heterogeneity. So when your SDPA is the robust standard deviation of the participants' results, then the homogeneity between proficiency testing items is already included in your sigma PT, and so the criteria for acceptability of homogeneity can be relaxed with caution. So accordingly, such cases allowances for homogeneity is not added as specified in the above formula. So again, the references are given from the 1-528 clause B to 5C. Example is also given in the blue here in the one of the table, that how to calculate this part. Those who are doing this proficiency testing schemes, probably they are aware of this formula to apply in the during the statistical calculation. Yeah, Manish. Here we have a little bit more information about stability check, where the stability is conducted after distribution of the PTIs, as I mentioned before, to the participants, and either on the last date of the participants are permitted to conduct the test, or immediately after the last date. So stability, as I said, stability need to perform in case of testing. In case of calibration, you have to perform initial check, which is also we called as a stability. Not in case of calibration, we are not going for homogeneity. We call it as a stability check before and after after completion of PT scheme. So before means before to start the PT scheme, we have to go for a stability check with the reference level. It could be a NPL or it could be a secondary lab of NPL as per the earlier guideline from the other bodies. And then there should be some time intervals. You need to calculate the stability after the completion of the cycle, or in between the, there's a different kind of PT designs, like whether you have selected the platter one or the sequential scheme. So based on the scheme type, you can select the stability check time, and it could also include the transportation error. Okay, so as I said, select a minimum of 2 samples in a randomized manner from the whole batch of PT items prepared. In case of destructive test, testing may be permitted one test portion means of the PT items only instead of 2 portions. Uh, 2 portions are required in case of textile. If necessary, send these PT items to 2 different participants with a request to return the same PT item back to PTP, and this will enable the estimation of instability contribution due to the transport condition. As I said, there is a means again, it is depending on your PT scheme. It is not compulsion that you have to add the transportation error. If you have a PT item and it is very sensitive, in case of if you feel that there could be a issue in the testing performance and that you have a concern related to the transportation also, so you have to identify this instability due to the transportation, and can be the one of the checkpoint as a stability while performing the PT scheme. However, on the basis of the experience, if it is felt that the PT items will not undergo any significant changes due to the transport condition and instability caused due to storage for the duration of the PT round, stability assessment need to be conducted. Need not to be conducted, not to be conducted. As I said, because again, it is not important, it is not mandatory in case means in any case. First of all, stability check is applied only where it is required, not 100% required or all cases. Second, transportation error or instability also depending on the type of PT scheme or material you selected. It is also not required to follow in all cases. Further, select a minimum of 2 samples in a randomized manner from whole batch of PT items as we discussed before, and you have to follow the same process you adopted for a homogeneity assessment um, at the initial stage, and you have to calculate your data with compared to the your homogeneity and assigned value. If it comes as a satisfactory performance in the stability check, you can go ahead for the finalization of your report with the Z score or Z prime, or could be a EN value. Yeah, Manish. Further, the understanding on homogeneity and stability, again, this is same. But here we have addition of 2 columns, which is for a statistical method and stability. However, we discuss little bit about this statistical methodology in the earlier slides, which could be like for homogeneity, statistical calculation could be done through like a one-way ANOVA, or there are other standard like SS we discussed before, within sample variation, between sample variations, and comparison with the target standard deviations. So criteria is also mentioned like SS should be less than or equal to 0.3 into your SGPA. Similarly, for stability also, we have different approaches like a regression analysis to verify whether PT item results change with the time. Generally, this process adopted by the calibration agencies to detect drift or degradation of the PT material, can be in the artifact or could be in that your PT material, any kind of material. So again, depending on the selection, your selected material PT items. Then different comparison t-test or trend analysis. Again, t-test we perform in calibration PT schemes. A t-test compares the means of 2 sets of results to determine whether the difference between them is satisfactory and significant. Further to evaluation against uncertainty or your STPA. Further, the decision could be based on the stable or not stable. If your PT artifact at the end of the exercise, at the end of the PT scheme, if you identify that your PT item is not stable, you cannot release the PT report to the participants. So it is important that PT item should be, in case of calibration, PT item should be stable from beginning to end, means before to release of the PT scheme. That is why the stability is a very important, part of this statistical calculation. So stability is very much required to be passed by the artifact. Similarly, in case of testing also, it should be, within that limit. Yes. Okay. So in apart from this homogeneity and the stability criteria and requirements, there are some critical documents or documentation requirement we have from ISO 17043 standard. So standard, as per the standard, these are the some of the documents which is very much important, which all PTP has to take care, like a PT scheme design, or we can say a PT plan. It could be a PT protocol also, depending on this. Again, calibration PT generally saying is a PT design or PT protocols. testing labs, they are calling it as a PT design and PT plans. So terminology or words can be different, but yeah, basically the PT scheme, design and plan or protocol are same, and it is very much required. It is before to commence any PT scheme, uh, to have this well in your hand of the PTPs. Second is like a homogeneity and stability protocol. Again, this could be the part of the PT design. In case of calibration PT schemes, this is PT proto. They can develop a separate protocol because generally they have to share this protocol to the participants. In case of testing, it is not very much means it is not required to share the protocol separately. The testing labs can give some directions or conditions or terms in that in the test in the PT report format, submission format. So for them it is very easier. But yeah, in case of calibration, it is very much important because they need step by step directions to follow for the to completion of the testing calibration part of the artifact. Third one is related to statistical analysis record. Then it's a PT item traceability records. This is also required. Participants' instruction again could be the part of your result submission form, but it is very much required. Participation instruction should be very clear: what to do, what not to do. Subcontracting of the PT item is not acceptable. Timeline should be clear, and the form you receive the result could be hard copy, soft copy, kind of. So all these direction must be there in their participation instructions. In addition to that, there are some SOPs we have identified. It could be 7 or maybe more than that, but at least we identified that these are the SOPs are required in case of for the calculation of this statistical analysis of the PT schemes. Like first one, homogeneity and stability. We must be clear that how to go for a homogeneity, what would be the criteria for homogeneity, and in which cases you will go for a stability with the criteria and the formulas as per 1352 with the reference that how you will calculate the stability. These things should be very much clear to the your PT team or your statisticians or a technical manager. Third one is a validation of assigned value. Again, it is important that how you will calculate your assigned value. As we discussed before, that there are some conditions applying on while calculating the assigned value. So these conditions should be there clearly with the formula and calculation in the SOP that how to apply these conditions, how to calculate the assigned value, and there are multiple way to calculate it. Further determination of assigned value, and it is the and its uncertainty using algorithm A. Now, algorithm A is the most prominent statistical approach accepted by all the PTPs worldwide, and it gives some iteration and could be 5, 10 plus iterations it develop, and based on that you will get a very stable assigned value from the participants' results. And like again, how to apply and how to for your calculations and all. So this is important that if algorithm A suppose homogeneity fail, how to go for a new algorithm because it's all are interrelated. So everything should be clearly mentioned in your SOP so that your statistician can apply this methodology clearly. Further on the evaluation of the performance of qualitative and semi-qualitative of PT schemes. Now, this is also important. See, we are conducting PT schemes on different way. Like sometimes it's qualitative, sometimes semi-qualitative, sometimes it is quantitative, and there could be more than that. There are many other also. But the thing is, what is semi-qualitative? What is qualitative? It should be clearly identified. And quantitative, how to handle in case of you will go for a quantitative, and the quantitative criteria must be clear. In case of qualitative, suppose you have a PT scheme for a pass fail results only, so you have to set a criteria on what basis you are selecting the pass uh, how on what basis you will select? You will identify that yes, the labs are comes under pass criteria. There should be some criteria, maybe it's greater than 70% or 80%. Results are aligned on the pass side, then only like that. So there are many ways to select it. Similarly, for a quantitative, you have to adopt algorithm. There are some other approach, MPs are also available. The fourth one is related to the identification of a gross error or blunder. So here, how to identify your gross error? Suppose if any of the laboratory has reported the wrong results, or maybe the typo error or something like, so where you found that yes, 90% labs of, maximum lab reported, for example, 100, the one of the lab reported as a 150, you cannot consider that laboratory result uh, while calculating your assigned value. So how to remove the blunders? This should be very clear, and to for that there is a one provision given by the standard, which is a grubs, like a grubs approach. So grubs, how to apply grubs? 99%, 95%. So if you go through the grubs method, you will identify a way to remove the blunders. And grubs is not only the approach; there are other approaches are also available. But however, means you have to select that how to remove the blunder. This is very much important while finally go to the calculation part. Sixth one related to the statistical analysis for small number of participants. As we discussed before, you have to calculate in a two-way, like a z score, z prime, en value. So en, there is absolutely no issue, but yeah, in case of Z score, you need a potential participation. At least 18 labs participation are required for a Z score. Less than 18 could be comes under Z prime. Less than, if you have a less than 12, so can we apply a algorithm A? Yes, because algorithm A also required at least a minimum participation. Uh, for a better result, better to have a more than 10, 12 labs participation for a PT scheme. But if suppose you have a less than 12 participation in a PT scheme, so which methodology you will adopt? This will comes under the statistical analysis for a small number of labs. So generally, it is expected that the labs should be greater than 5 in all cases, while it is whether it is a ILC or a PT scheme. And if it is comes less than 12, we are calculating with a special way, like we can apply for a robust standard deviation approach to calculate the Z prime, or there would be a MPE approach. So all such things comes under this SOP. Last one is related to the environment condition of the PT items. So you must have a clear-cut guidelines, so suppose, because how you will keep, where you will store your PT items. The things should be clearly mentioned. Whether that there's a environment condition could give any impact on that. How you will monitor the environment condition and the area where you are storing this your PT items. So all such things you need to be clearly mentioned in the SOPs. This is required apart from your QMS manual procedure and then SOPs. That is why the level 3 documentation is very much important, very much required actually for the PT schemes. Next one related to the record control of requirements. Here, some of the records we are expecting from all the PTPs to store in a proper way, like eligible, should be traceable, it should be secured, as this is the common requirement for all kind of international or national accreditations. Further, the retention period should be defined for your PT schemes or PT items, or the document, like whether it is a customer feedback forms or complaints and all, including the raw data sheet, but not, it is not limited, but it could be minimum, at least the raw data you receive from the participants, the calculation sheets you have, final PT reports, and complaints, corrective actions, like this kind of record can be added, but at least you have to keep little minimum these things for 2 years. As per my experience, um, for the traceability point of view. Yeah, Manish. There are some common non-conformities we have identified here. Means it could be due to the inadequate homogeneity, as we discussed before, no stability study, before distribution, no stability, no homogeneity. This generally it happens when people are not aware, and that sometimes PTBs they are not clear on that whether they have to go for a stability check or a homogeneity check before to round when to complete. Sometimes they started the PT schemes and in between, and sometimes they completed the stability before the completion of the before the receiving of the final result from the participants. So in such cases, we have to be how to avoid it. Better to be take care in this part to avoid such error. Incorrect statistical methods. Yes, sometimes we are simply calculating the things on the Google Drive, from online portals, Google and some other things are available. It should be statistically. I mean, you must be clear that how to calculate this. How to apply these statistical methods, and must be written in very clear with the clear information on your SOPs and how to apply in Excel file. It should be calculated, and if the assessor wants, they can give you an exam also to to show that how you are calculating. You must have a proper understanding at least on the statistical method you adopted for the PT scheme. So you cannot blindly applying just to go calculating through Google and some other portals. So no justification of that SDPA. So again, sometime it happened that no one, the PTBs are not aware that from where they are taking this SDPA. Some few are taking as a standard deviation is SDPA, but standard deviation is not a SDPA actually. So this is another issues we observe that generally PTBs are not aware. Improper PT item handling. This is another critical things that sampling, cutting, I mean, the cutting of the sample, selection of that sample, it is also critical. So handling is important, and especially when you are dealing with the some of the chemical PT schemes where that environment conditions are important, and you need to follow some kind of special procedures using a gloves and some masks and so many things. So you have to take care of this part. Record and control requirement in complete PT documentation, poor record retention, lack of internal audits, no risk assessment, ineffective corrective actions. So these could be the one of that issue where you can identify that record related concern can be identified. The best practice is to avoid ANSYS. Plan PT scheme well in advance. So it is not like that you run the PT scheme and after that you are designing your um, scheme. So scheme should be well prepared and discussed, and then only you have to go for a PT. This one announcement. And at the time of PT scheme, finalization, you must aware that which material you will select, from where you have to. Everything should be clear, and which methodology you will adopt on the statistical calculation. It should be very clearly mentioned on that. You have to mention on the PT scheme or a PT plan. Validate a statistical method. This is also required. Maintain complete documentation. Conduct internal audit on regular basis, and review your PT results objectively before to when there should be one or two reviewer before to issue a final report. Conclusion, like here as we discussed before, ISO IC 17043 ensures credible PT schemes. Homogeneity and stability are very critical to the foundations. Proper statistics and documentations are very much essential for any kind of PT schemes, and continuous improvement strengthens PT providers' competence. So these are the some of the as a whole we can say the conclusion of this webinar. We identified for that for you. And thank you so much. I think we have completed well within the time. Manish.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So now we will move ahead with the QA accreditation process. So I would like to request my colleague, Ms. Geeta, to take further.
Is my screen is visible, sir?
Yeah,
Uh,
Bhakti, we will take a query at the end of this presentation.
okay, fine, fine, sir. Thank
Yes, Geeta, you want
Uh, Okay. Okay, now we will start with the accreditation process. So eligibility for QI accreditation. So the applicant PTP must comply with all clauses of ISO IC 17043. The PTP must have conducted at least one PT scheme in same similar metrics, PT item in each group, for example, textile, solid fuel, metal and alloys, with at least some of the critical parameters in accordance with ISO IC 17043 for the applied scope of accreditation. For PT program not conducted or not completed, at least PT design document, that is detailed document of how the program will be conducted, should have been prepared for the entire scope of accreditation. The applicant PTP must have conducted at least one internal audit and a management review before the submission of application. So one internal audit and one management review meeting is mandatory for application. Now steps to achieve QI accreditation. The applicant PTP is requested to submit the following documents. First, the soft copy of completed application form that is available on our website. Along with the application form, you have to submit a soft copy of self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit along with reference document. That is our internal document. That is self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit is based on the requirements of the accreditation standard ISO IC 17043. It gives an opportunity to the PTP to examine all its documentation and their implementation. It will also give a comprehensive view of its documentation to the lead assessor. So lab have to fill that document. Along with that, you have to submit soft copy of quality manual management system documentation, prescribed application fee, and soft copy of signed QAI CIA 002, that is terms and condition for obtaining and maintaining accreditation or certification. All the above information shall be sent to the given email ID, that is info@qi.org.in. So all communication will be done through the mail. No hard copies are needed. Now the scope of accreditation. So accreditation is currently given in the following disciplines: testing, calibration, and medical. This is our flow chart for the accreditation process. First, application plus self-assessment cum management system documentation review toolkit along with the terms and condition and quality manual system documents. This to be submitted by the PTP. Next is review, registration, and acknowledgement of application. This is to be done by the QACI Secretariat. Now, document review and quality management system advocacy, that is to be done by the lead assessor. Now, the step is pre-assessment, that is completely optional by lead assessor or assessment team. If the PTP opt for the pre-assessment, we can fix that. Otherwise, it is completely optional. Then final assessment, this is to be done by the assessment team. Then review of assessment report, this is to be done by the QACI Secretariat. Then feedback to PTP and necessary corrective action taken by PTP. Then recommendation for accreditation. For this, we have a panel of reviewers which recommend accreditation for the PTP. Then approval of accreditation, that is to be done by our CEO. Then issue of accreditation certificate, this is to be done by QACI Secretariat. Then again, you have to apply for renewal of accreditation, that is before 4 months before expiry of your accreditation validity. Now, fee structure based on the World Bank income level classification of countries. And for the detailed fee structure, you can mail us to info@qi.org.in. Now, if you have any questions or query regarding the accreditation process, you can ask here or you can mail us to info@qi.org.in. Or for the more information, you can also visit our website, that is www.qi.org.in.
Thank you, Ms.
That's all.
Geeta,
Yeah.
for briefing the QA accreditation process. So now we are open for your query and doubts. So you are feel free to ask. You may unmute yourself also. Ms. Bhakti, you have some queries? Yes, Bhakti, you are audible. You may
Yes,
answer.
sir. Yes, sir. Actually, I have a query to Punit, sir, regarding this homogeneity.
Yes, madam.
Punit, sir, you have told that for the first homogeneity testing, the homogeneity between the sample should be less than zero point 0.3 into standard deviation, right? That is the acceptance criteria. But suppose the PTP is totally new in that field and it has only the sample first for the homogeneity testing and it doesn't have any standard deviation. Sir, in that case, for this acceptance criteria, what standard deviation we are supposed to consider?
See, it doesn't matter if you are new or old. See, you have to select first of the sample. Then you have to identify the error between the test portions, right?
Hmm.
And
Yes.
based on that error, you have a between error. This one that you have to set some one hypothetical value for a algorithm A.
Okay.
Okay, what is algorithm A or what is SDPA value? SDPA value could be a value which could be close to that you are expecting from the participants. Now you have suppose homogeneity results from the participants. You have a homogeneity result like 30, 31, 32 kind of, and repeatedly you are getting like in between 30, 31, and 32. So
Hmm.
you can set a hypothetical value could be 31, as that you are expecting your participants result could be either 30 or 32, not more than that, you
Hmm.
know. So in between you
Hmm.
can set any of the values so that you can identify whether your homogeneity is okay or not. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
Oh.
see for that this value should be that SS could be designed based on that your this SDPA only. So the formula is also there, like how to means you have to fix. Otherwise, at the end of the process, you if you identify that yes, your homogeneity results going on the one direction, and your participants' labs results are going on the other direction,
Hmm.
then how you will release the PT report?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah. Because actually, I was thinking in that way that the standard deviation by algorithm A we will be getting from the participant. But before
Yes, correct.
distributing samples to the participant, to check this zero point 0.3 into standard deviation, from where we are getting that? That was the question was
I
coming
understand.
to my mind.
I completely understand. And when we started our PT, we were also confused at this point particularly. Actually, without getting the algorithm, you cannot get the SDPA value,
Yes.
right? So,
Right.
but the thing is, initially you have to hypothetical set this value for your reference only. But it could be it will be changed ultimately. It will be changed at the end when you get the participants' results. And once you have an
Yeah.
algorithm A result, then you have to replace that value to the this one. And by default, those who are going outside to be considered as a straggler or outlier. You know that. But
Hmm.
this value should be within that limit only.
Okay. Fine. And once
Okay.
the round is completed entirely, after that we are supposed to perform the stability check.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
After
Oh.
completion, once you have a results from the participants,
Hmm.
yeah, from the last date. Suppose you
Huh.
have set again today's 7th. Suppose today is the last day to receive the result from the participant. You can start today or from tomorrow onward for your stability testing. You can submit your
Oh.
sample and check the
Hmm.
stability on your PT item. This is the whole
Okay.
concept that after the completion of the round, your PT item must be stable.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. If you perform in between, this could be a non-conformity.
Hmm. Yes. Okay. Understood, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
So, any other participant have a query, whether it could be related to the standard or the accreditation process?
Yes, Manish, sir. One regarding accreditation process. Sir, will you share this PPT with us after this session? That is
Sure,
the
sure.
eligibility
I'll
criteria.
share the application package with you also on your register mail ID. And we have one
Okay.
more training schedule also in the end of this month, 28th onward. We have training on the ISO 17043 standard, also ISO 13528 for the statistical part. Also, we have one training.
Okay. And one more thing, sir. Do you have any specific criteria for PTP as of
Criteria in
now? Uh, Actually, that means it is covering entirely calibration testing. Now, for testing, how many participants, for metal testing, for food testing, like that, that complete document. Is it available, sir?
Ma'am, please share your mail ID so we can send you the application pack. Like this can include our information brochure also, so you can
Oh,
get the information from that.
okay, fine, fine.
Yeah,
Thank you, ma'am.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So we can have one group photograph also. So I request everyone to please switch on a camera. We can have one group photograph. Miss Hinal, Mr. Sumit, Miss Diksha, Marsha, Dhurvi, Miss Divya, Mr. Hemang, Miss Arshida, Puneet sir, please. Okay. So everyone is ready. Please smile. Thank you, everyone. So you people have still any any doubts you may ask. Otherwise, we may close the session. Do you have any current doubts? Okay, then. Thank you. Thank you, Puneet sir. Thanks for your valuable time and your expertise on food
Thank you,
standard.
everyone,
And thanks to the
to spare
participant.
your time with us. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.